Hey everyone, Sycra here, and I'm doing a painting today in Photoshop, or at least I'm starting out in Photoshop, and I just scribbled a quick scribble. I have no idea at this stage where this is going, and I put down some big blocks of color just to give a sense of, like, I kind of want this feeling, these pastel colors. Yellows and greens and pinks and purples, stuff like that. And I managed to find a head in there, and then right now I'm still sort of figuring out what to do with the rest, with the body. And at this point, I've got an idea. I thought, okay, let's have like a girl. I see a girl, and then she's maybe she's on like a swing in a forest, and she's imagining there's like a magical city in the background, maybe it's in the background, or maybe she's imagining it. I don't know, but it's something like that. So this is not probably the best way to go about painting, because scribbling, finding stuff, and then refining it, it's sort of weird, because normally what you would do is you have an idea, and then you do thumbnail sketches, and you find the best out of those sketches, and then you make finished drawings, and you get the perspective right, and then near the end, you work out your colors and your values and all that. And in this one, I had no idea, so I just start scribbling, and I work out the colors, and then I start to refine the drawing, and the idea forms at that stage, so it's really out of order. But I suppose you can do anything, really. It's just I wouldn't do this for professional work. I just wanted to do a painting, and someone said I hadn't done a speed painting in a while. Now I'm in Manga Studio, and I'm in Manga Studio so I can get the perspective right. I think it's so important to make sure you know your perspective, and Manga Studio makes it really easy to set up guides for perspective. And I'm aware that, her legs are obscenely long. I'm going to chalk it up to style, and I don't know. There's a lot that can be said either way, where it comes to style, where I feel like as long as I'm doing it by choice, it's okay. What's not really okay is if I just don't know what I'm doing, and then it's like, well, this is just my style. But if it's intentional, that's fine. So yeah, it was intentional to exaggerate the proportions, but the head is too small, and that's not intentional. That's just bad design. Or not even design, just bad drawing. So I'm doing the drawing in Manga Studio as well, using their G pen. I really like that pen. It's very nice. I think I mentioned in another video that I've been using pen more often, and it's good. It's been good. I like to use thin pens though, like 0.28 or 0.38. Actually, the thinner the better for me. Yep. So she's on a swing, and I don't know. It's a pretty bad idea. I don't think it was a very good painting either. It was just I had a comment on someone saying I should do a speed painting, and it's like, yeah, I should. I was meaning to. And this isn't exactly a speed painting, because a speed painting is really when you try to say the most you can with the least amount of work, like brushstrokes, necessary in the shortest amount of time. And I don't think I really accomplished that with this, so I guess this is just more like a sped up painting instead of an actual speed painting. So what was most important for me in this image was really the mood. And that's why I started out with those color things, just big blobs of color and a zoomed out canvas. And it's something I would recommend just for getting composition right is working really zoomed out. And here, checking values, so I use the black layer set to color so that it makes everything in grayscale. And right now I made a new layer underneath set to luminosity. So what luminosity does is you can change the values, but it won't change the color, even though often you have to correct the color afterwards. But that's a way so that you can actually have a black and white layer and then work on your values underneath. Just set the layer mode in Photoshop to luminosity, and then you can do that. So yeah. What else? I don't know. I got a lot to work on still. I'm really not confident with certain things. Faces I'm okay at, but definitely the body, clothing, the environment, I'm still not confident on any of these things. And so you'll see me struggle a lot and flip. I flip and I turn on the black and white layer. And the black and white layers check your values, make sure everything's working. And flipping is to check your drawing, make sure, things aren't too weird. And I flipped back to the original just to see, like, am I keeping the mood? Am I getting too far away from the mood? What was my original intention? I noticed the original was more diagonal, and there was more movement to it. So I wanted to move the hair more and make it have more of a movement as well. Sort of like she's swinging back. And now I'm adding some warms in the shadows that suggests maybe subsurface scattering. And especially when you have skin, it tends to warm up when light bounces off, for instance, one leg to another, then it's going to warm up because that light's going to catch some of that, the fleshy blood stuff underneath. Yeah, so there's my city in the background. I don't know, maybe it's a castle, but yeah, that's forming. And I'm working with a lot of hard edges against soft edges. Texture, I use a chalk brush and a soft round brush and a hard round brush. And at one point later on, I'll use like a leaf brush. I haven't used it before, but I can see why people use these kinds of brushes because it definitely saves time. Right now I just have suggestions of leaf shapes just with the chalk brush and just using value. And you can see, like in the tree, how the leaves are really nothing. Anyway, so now what I'm doing is I'm using the lasso tool to block out areas, and this is going to let me get more clean edges, more hard edges, so I get crisp, clean stuff going on. And it's to contrast against the softer, blurry stuff. I want some parts to be more in focus so that the parts that are out of focus seem more distant, or I don't know, it's more on purpose then. And I like the effect of using the lasso tool. Just select around areas because you get this very clean look and you don't have to do much to get that. I don't know if I'm making sense here, but you just by having that crisp edge, it almost makes everything look so much more finished, even though you didn't spend a whole lot of time doing that. And what I usually do is set up masks. So I would have, if I knew what I was doing and I'd done this properly, what I probably would have done is I would have had a layer with just the girl's silhouette, and then I would paint on top of that, and I would isolate the hair and isolate the skin and things. That would just make it easy so that I can just, click on the mask and start painting that. But because I had no idea what I was doing in this one, I just thought, okay, let me just do it on the fly with the lasso tool. And I don't think it took that long. I mean, I don't think it's like, well, I definitely should have used a mask because that would have saved me so much time. It wasn't that long to just, select around an area, and you can maintain that sharpness. So now I wanted to add some shadows in the cloud region in the background, get a bit more contrast, but I still have to keep it low contrast, so it's some contrast but not a ton of contrast. So here I go with that leaf brush, and yeah, it was really cool because it's like, wow, all that stuff is just done. I set with that squiggly thing, I just wanted a feeling of wind and movement, but I didn't want it to really be there. So what I did is I created like a shape, filled it with white, and set it to overlay, just so that it will adjust the colors and values just a bit, but not too much. So it's one of those things where I try and do effects that you feel but don't necessarily see. And even when I do color balance layers or adjustment layers, things like this, often it's just enough that you feel it, but not necessarily that it's obvious and you see it. You'll see there's like a leaf in front of her back foot. That's kind of important because I noticed upon looking at the image that there wasn't much interaction with the environment. It's almost like without that leaf, you could just take the girl and it's almost like a sticker stuck onto the background. There's nothing in the background that overlaps the girl, and so that's important to get something like that. Because right now, again, this image doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I mean, but anyway, and I included a little, I don't know what it is, like it's like a rabbit, but it's not a rabbit. It's a made up rabbit thing. And I just wanted something more. So I'm getting to the end now. I thought maybe I'd have a flower in her hair. This is a very, I don't know, more girly picture than I normally do. And I wasn't sure about anything. It would have helped if I knew what I was doing and then I used some reference. But anyway, yeah, so the position of the flower, I'm not sure about. It just seems odd. And so I eventually decide to just move it a bit. And again, I'm not 100% sure if that flower looks any good. Again, here's this other thing where I'm creating, I wanted more harmony, a subtle harmony, a bit more warmth in the lower portion. So I'll do the adjustment layers, or I'll add these layers, but then I turn down the opacity just where it's like, okay, I feel it. I get the sense of what I wanted, but I don't have to go overboard. And yeah, just the feeling. You don't have to see it, you just have to feel it. So I think pretty much that's it. Yep. Thanks for watching.